Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Mayor's Monday Message for February 19th, 2024. I wanted to start off with something, I just want to say we're all one human race. We are all just one race. There are no races of human beings. It might sound controversial to some people, but I will explain. And I'm not saying there's no racism, because for the last 10,000 years, people have certainly treated each other differently based on how much melanin they had in the skin, basically on how their bodies reacted to an abundance of sunlight or a lack of sunlight, an abundance of fresh seafood versus a lack of seafood. But race itself, there has to be something significant, and the amount of melanin is not a genetic significance. Now, let me tell you where I'm coming from here. Ran into a guy, and I know some people believe this, and I'm a man of science, so I can only speak from science. If you believe that the Earth is only 6,000 years old, I can't really say anything more to you. Your beliefs are based in whatever histories and sacred texts that you are taking your information from. I can't argue that. There's no point in it. But I'm a person of science and archaeology and history, and there are some facts in the scientific community that are really important when we talk about our differences, particularly skin color differences. And the facts are that human beings, as we know them today, Homo sapiens, the earliest archaeological evidence in northern Africa now is about 300,000 years ago. So folks that looked essentially like us, or their faces looked like us, they were using tools, they've been around, we've been around for 300,000 years. About 45,000 years ago, people started migrating out of Africa. So, important point number one, we are all from Africa. We're all from Africa. That's what science tells us. No early Homo sapiens have been found in other parts of the world. So, we're coming from there. Groups are going towards Eastern Asia, and then to North America, Native Americans crossing the Bering Strait during the Ice Age that allowed them to migrate between the continents. Another multiple groups went to India and Europe. So you have one group at the beginning, and then part of that group stays there in Africa, and then another group goes to the east, and another group goes to the north and a little bit to the east. That was 45,000 years ago. So 300,000, then 45,000. Then about 10,000 years ago, we started farming. And when we started farming, we started to see that lifestyle led to a loss of vitamin D. Very important for processing calcium, for making strong bones, and our bodies adapted and became lighter skinned because melanin blocks the UV rays that go into your body to help that vitamin D, to create the vitamin D and help with the processing of your other minerals in your body. Something very interesting is that the research, if you've ever heard of the Iceman, that's the oldest body of a Homo sapien that we found. And it was found in the Alps, in the Germanic Italian area. And that was he's 5,300 years ago, 5,300 years old. He was still dark-skinned because he lived in an isolated tribe that was still living off of meat. They weren't using agriculture. And they still had dark skin. So my Germanic ancestor, 5,300 years ago, was dark skinned. That's pyramid age. It's not that long ago. 5,000 years in human history. So just think about that. 300,000 years ago. So for 290,000 years, everybody was dark-skinned. Everybody. And then there was a need to adapt to the UV rays, the sunlight. And that then created what we now call different races. But they're not different races. It's just an adjustment to the amount of sun. So we don't call people different races based on eye color or hair color. That's not different races. And that's way older. That's way older than the adaptation for melanin on your skin. So I just felt compelled between my conversation on Friday and seeing the movie Selma again, but on a big screen, and thinking of all the evil that comes from us treating each other differently. And I hope I can say, in honor of Lois Lambert Reeves, who we honored yesterday, thank you everybody for coming out to the Appel Center to honor her. Thank you for the family for coming. And I hope I'm sure I'm offending some people, because science offends people's belief systems, because it's fact-based. It's everything that we've been able to discover about human beings. But I really felt compelled, seeing all that evil that comes from people treating each other differently, to really get to the science of this. So 290,000 years, we all pretty much look the same. And then in the last 8 to 10,000 years, in some places even less, like the Iceman, he's still dark-skinned in the middle of Europe. In the middle of Europe, just 5,000 years ago. So I hope my science lesson gets to somebody. I've been told maybe there's no point in saying this, but I really felt like I needed to today. I support all cultures, and history is important, and modern history is important. But this, even little children group themselves based on how they look or how they dress. It's a human, childish thing. We as adults don't have to do that. We can choose for ourselves to realize that, hey, oops, that cover of the book is just a modern adaptation to sunlight. It's nothing more, and it means nothing more. So by all means, celebrate your own personal family histories, your cultural histories, but realize those are modern changes to a family that at one point was all one family. So it's just like your brother going off and starting a new family in Arizona, and them having a whole new group, creating a new family. They're still your family. There's no difference. Saying that, we know that people have been treated differently. And so we are making efforts to try and help folks that have been held down by our system, by our society. One of the ways is the state is putting out right now historically disadvantaged business assistance grants. And that's $10,000 for minority-owned small businesses in operation on or before COVID. So if you had a business before March 17th of 2020, you are eligible for the $10,000 from the state. We also have Welcoming Communities grants that are open. And that one ends Friday, so you have to apply now for the state grant, like right now. Welcoming Communities grants are open through the end or through February 26th, and they're here in the city for events that welcome and connect community. So all kinds of things that Cultural Alliance of York is putting out, and that's up to $2,000 for events and welcoming activities here in our community. First Friday grants are open through March 1st, and they are through Downtown Inc., and that you can apply there on the link. The York County Hispanic Coalition is offering scholarships for Hispanic and Latino high school students through March 22nd. And I think that's most of the grants that I have and scholarships. Let me go to something much lighter. I'm sorry, sometimes I'm just compelled to try and get a message across, and that's today. Welcome, you're here today. But it's also Restaurant Week. So, and there are many cultures represented in our restaurants around the city. Go to your favorite, go to one you've never been to before, all kinds of specials, and Restaurant Week goes on through Sunday. There's a York Hiring Fair at Wellspan or Revs Stadium, and that is on tomorrow from 3 to 7. So all kinds of jobs. It's a great time to go out and try to lift your life, lift the life of your family by advancing your career. There's a luncheon on employment law. So this is something deeper for the businesses to understand kind of what you're getting into when you start getting employees, or maybe you've had employees for a long time and still have questions. There's a complimentary luncheon on Thursday from 11:30 to 1 at CJA Law Firm, and the link is on there. Now for something much lighter, Tot Rock. So thanks again, the Appel Center and the York Foundation for providing space. They provided it yesterday for the viewing of Selma and the honoring of Lois Lambert Reeves. And Saturday, you can stop in with your tots and have Tot Rock. That's at 10 a.m. at the Appel Center. The Cultural Alliance is having an open house also on Saturday from 3 to 5. That's at 15 East Philadelphia Street, and there's free art activities for all ages. The movement continues to help our community with free meals every Saturday at Bethel Commandment Church. That's 1000 South Queen Street from 3 to 5. So you can get a free meal at Bethel Commandment Church with the help, the community support of the movement. And finally, Martin Library events for the week. We have the Here For You, Story Times, Future Engineers, and Beginning Knitters. So that's quite a variety of programs provided by Martin Library, 159 East Market Street, and you can jump on there on their page and see what kind of activities they're offering. So please enjoy all the events, and I hope some people, maybe I reach somebody to think about the fact that just even the thought of anybody being superior to anybody, being better than anybody based on a melanin gene is literally as dumb as thinking you're better than somebody with green eyes because you have blue eyes or brown eyes or purple eyes. It doesn't matter. None of it matters. What matters is that we have a happy city and we've got a lot going on. So come on down and I'll see you around the city. Have a good week.